This is the Brave Ideas Podcast, brought to you by Aqua. Welcome to episode 14 of the Brave Ideas Podcast, the show that is all about bringing to life fresh perspectives from the worlds of digital and marketing. I'm Dan Herman. I'm a digital strategist, a summer fanatic, and a vanilla latte aficionado. And I'm here today with my co-host.
I'm Sinead. I'm also a digital strategist here at Aqua. I have a tattoo triangle on my arm and a pet pigeon. We would love to hear your opinion about our show, so please email us at braveideas@aquaonline.com, on social media at Aqua Agency on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or you can follow us Brave Ideas Podcast on Instagram.
Today we're talking to Vanessa Reid, Senior User Experience Analyst at Aqua. Vanessa is an iron person and a former European. And today, she's going to talk to us about user centricity. Vanessa, what's new?
Hi Dan, hi Sinead.
Hi.
It's really actually about persuasive messaging and how user centricity is crucial in it being successful. And that is the application of a user-centric approach. It's about the customer, and right now the fact that they're in control. And what that means is previously it was all about the brand. What the brand could do for you, how great the brand was. Whereas now the customer's in a space where they can go, okay, well let me go and check it out. Let me look at the competitors. Let me do price comparisons. And I'm not just localized. I can go internationally. I can see what peers and experts have to say. And if I'm not happy, I can go to the social media space and actually voice my concerns, and I can be heard.
So the power is now in the hands of the customers, right? It's no longer a brand-oriented conversation where it's about communicating who we are. It's about getting the customer, getting who they are, and delivering based on that. So how do brands respond to that in a changing landscape? What do we need to do?
They need to understand who the user is. And I think if we could learn from one brand that's did it since they started and is still doing it, it's Amazon. You know, nowadays it's not just about a user in terms of a demographic or an LSM or a target audience. It's about me, Vanessa Reid, certain age, mom, etc. And I think Amazon is brilliant at that, in that when I go to Amazon.com, the whole homepage is aggregated according to how I've engaged with them. And that's powerful because I don't go there because it's this brand website. I go there because it's my space. It's prioritized me as an individual, and it's having a conversation with me.
And one of the biggest things that Amazon did was the recommendation.
It was groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking for its time. But something that I did hear offline was a statistic that 62% of marketing that we are faced with on a day-to-day basis is considered not relevant to us. And I just wanted to throw that back at you and say why. So why, if things like this exist, if we've got an Amazon that's working, what are brands not doing that's making that statistic come to life?
It's about making the customer the hero, and it's simple. It's the language you use. It's not, a customer doesn't walk into a shop and go, I want the best of breed handset. They don't go, I want the most innovative car. They've got different needs, and it's about talking to them using this language. And the way to do it is talk to your customer. It's as simple as that. And you think brands are doing it, but they're not, or they're not listening.
So what sort of testing would a brand need to do in order to get this information?
Well, I mean, traditionally you always do your research. So you do definitely need to carry on doing that. You look at what your competitors are doing. You can have focus groups, you can have discussion groups. And I think that is probably the most powerful, is to actually sit down and ask them what they want. But more importantly, actually show that you've listened to them in terms of what happens afterwards.
So do you think that brands are maybe taking that for granted a little bit?
Definitely. They're not making the customer the hero.
So what's really interesting about making the customer the hero is how it's not simply about making them the hero in the digital world alone. It's also about how you create user-centric experiences in the real world. Do you have any insight to share about that?
Well, I think we've actually had a recent brand and a local brand that has demonstrated that, and that's Woolworths. Last week they announced that they're making a bold step to actually remove all the sweets and the temptations at the till points, because they recognize that this is an unfair thing to do to a customer. And I think that's very brave. But so short term, yes, they're going to have impact on their bottom line. But long term, they're going to get customers that goes, this brand is there for me. They're not just there for themselves. They actually are there for me. So I think that's very brave, and that would be the takeout, is be brave. And in the digital space, you actually have more of an opportunity where you can test out on your customer. You could ask them on social media, ask them the question, get their response, and then Show them you've listened.
So I think that what's really interesting about the Woolworths example is how they've sort of tempered their profit incentive by a user and customer incentive. And I would guess that the strategy is then that if they focus on their customers and the customer experience they have, their profits will naturally increase because they'll have a stronger affinity to the brand, to the shop, and to the experience they have in that environment. I'd be quite interested to hear from you about how we as Aqua can start applying this offline-online thinking into the work that we do.
It's a great question. It's something that we struggle with and we work hard on. And that is because we're a digital agency, the work we do are digital properties. But the challenge is engaging with clients and going, okay, that's fine, we've built your website or we've done your campaign, but what actually happens afterwards? So when the person actually phones the customer service, is that conversation, is that persuasive messaging being carried through? Is the customer still feeling like the hero? If they fill in a form, do we have the right turnaround? Do we have someone who phones them, or does it just go and 7 days pass? Or if they walk into a store, is that whole sentiment carried through? That's when you start seeing a success. And again, I think Woolworths, I think Apple is great at that, in that the full user experience is carried through in the messaging they have. Someone said something quite interesting, that Apple are doing a rebranding. And you know what they call their stores? I want.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
it. I want. How strong is
So
that?
Yeah,
simple.
it's a bit disturbing.
It is.
Like
But I mean, it's
want.
literally brought in a
They're turning
phenomenal.
customers into zombie consumerist automatons. I want. I don't know how
But
I
it's-
feel. I don't know how I feel
but it's
about
interesting.
that. It's very
It's
interesting.
brave.
It's so
fascinating.
powerful.
It's brave
though. It's
and it's
incredibly
interesting.
powerful.
And come on, you want.
I mean, it's really interesting, and you do want. And I think what's really, if you take that a step further, what they've unpacked is the desirability of Apple
Yeah,
products,
exactly.
and taken that as their insight to inform the actual rollout of their products and their customer experience, which is, fundamental to what they do. So, Via, I'd just like to take it back once again to Aqua's philosophy to user experience and how we approach it in this agency.
Well, I think that's one of the things about Aqua that differentiates them to other agencies, is that since the start, they've shown a commitment to user centricity, in that they've actually had a dedicated usability team that works with all the projects to ensure that the user is still the focus. And even recent changes that have been made reinforce Aqua's commitment to a user-centric approach, in that now we recognize that actually all disciplines have a touch point in the user centricity. A user experience team has now been created, which now consists of a content strategy, the design, the usability analysts, and the development team, because all of them, everything they do, touches into it. So it's, and I would say usability is like the golden thread to make sure that that goal is maintained.
Amazing. So, V, if there was one thing you could take out of this conversation for Aqua as well as the broader industry, what would it be?
It's all about the user.
Awesome. Thanks, Vanessa. If people want to find out more about this topic or find more about you, how do they do that?
They can email me on Vanessa R, that's 1 N, 2 S's, @aquaonline.com.
Thanks, Vanessa. Now, let's move on to the tool of the week.
So today's tool of the week is Lithium. Lithium is a social media management tool that offers businesses everything they need to manage a strong social media presence, from social media management to analytics to community insights. And Lithium helps its customers build their own social communities online as part of a larger company website. And the move allows Lithium clients to better engage with fans and customers of the brand and control exactly where that conversation happens. And also to become an active participant without relying exclusively on external sites like Facebook and Twitter. So if you want to find out more about that, you can at lithium.com.
Thanks, Sinead, and thank you for listening to the Brave Ideas podcast. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, and while you're there, give us a rating and a review. You can also visit aquagrp.libsyn.com for the complete library of episodes. If you want to keep in touch with me, Dan, you can follow me at elhermo, ELHURMO, on Twitter, and elhermo23 on Snapchat and Instagram. And you can follow Sinead.
And that's at Feeling Disco on Twitter and Instagram, Feeling Disco with a K.
Special thank you to Vanessa Reid, our special guest. Thanks to Matthew Klawansky for music and production. Thanks to Eras Khos and his team for the art direction. And a special thanks to JP Singh for managing our social media.
That brings us to the end of the show, and we leave you, as always, with one final thought. There are no original ideas, only original people.